Hi, and welcome to Ask Don't Tell. The best people care about the people they're talking to, and they show it. I bring you straight shooting advice every week to help you sell smarter, build trust, stop being that pushy company rep, whatever you may be, uh, and that no one wants to talk to. Like we bring people in that people want to talk to. And today we're going to be talking about something a lot of folks they don't think about it until it's too late. And we're going to talk about a little bit about kind of what they've been doing and where they're headed to now. But really, what kind of happens when your phone goes down, your Wi-Fi goes down, your internet stops working? Brett Miller from Galileo is here. He's got some solutions for that. But really, his company is really all about helping you stay communicated, and literally when the lights go out. So, Brett, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Oscar. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome. So let's just start. What's Galileo all about? Because I know this company's been around for a while, and there's a shift
Mhm.
going on right now. Tell us what it's all about and what you want our listeners to know about Galileo.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we're a satellite social media platform. The company originally, I took it over about a year and a half ago. The company was originally designed to connect people who had a satellite device to people that were on grid. So if you had a satellite device and you were off grid, we could send messages through our website to your specific satellite device. So you were never without information, no matter what happened on off the grid. Since I've taken it over, I realized that the people who understand satellite communication and who actually use satellite communication are the minority, right? Most people don't really. I mean, satellites kind of it's a name, it's a word, but people don't really understand it. And communication is kind of a boring word, but it's also life-saving and essential, because if you can't call someone to come and help you when you need it, I mean, the situation could turn dire very quickly. So what we've done in this last year is we've built a satellite social media platform. So now we have an app available on Google and Apple Store, and you can, Google Play and the Apple Store, and you can download it onto your smartphone, and it'll connect through your phone now to a satellite device, anything like a Bivy stick, which is a satellite texting device, or even a satellite phone. So that's what we're doing.
All right, so two things that stood out to me there. One is you can't say something like, "Hey, I took over this company a year and a half ago," and me not dig deeper of like tell us a little
Okay.
bit about what your background is or how or why that happened.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, way back, high school wise, I was a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, and I also did search team stuff. I worked with the West 610, which is a wilderness emergency strike team, search team. And we would go out and find downed airplanes, lost hikers, stranded campers, stranded climbers, people lost in blizzards. We also helped medical services deliver medicines and carry people back and forth to the hospital and stuff during blizzards and things like that. So through high school, I was watching the effects without even noticing, watching the effects of people who were prepared and able to get access to, the help that they need, and the people that weren't, because, sometimes you find someone that's been out there a while and no one came to save them. So, the situation's not good. But, then fast forward, I joined the Marine Corps after high school, and, I did infantry mostly, ran the fire team and then some mortars, but I also was an RO for the company. So I worked with these big old radios. They were called SINGARs, and they were encrypted. And then we also worked with PRC 77s, which Marines call Prick 77s. That's what we called them. But they were also a radio. So I got into like encryption a little bit way back in the day. And then, I got out of it, got out of the military, moved to LA, lived a little bit. And then COVID came and things started falling apart. And through a series of prayers and meetings and coincidence, if you believe in that, I was pitching an idea for a satellite social media off-grid platform based on my communication experience and my outdoor experience. And lo and behold, a friend of the person I was actually just talking with owned this company, but it was struggling. So after a couple months and a couple conversations, we came to an agreement, and I was given the opportunity to turn this thing around. So
Wow.
here we
Wow.
are.
Well, I think most people don't realize, because you're right. You're right. I have a lot of experience in satellite communications. You might not know that, but
I
most
didn't.
people don't realize that the future is satellites. I mean, if there's a war going on, it's actually in space, and it's this, it's the race to get as many satellites up you can, and that's why we're seeing
Yeah.
all the stuff, all the fun stuff, all the time on, who can get them faster and quicker, right? So most people don't realize that the satellites are really the future of just about everything that we're doing. So it is something like, so what, like, right, so what, you know
All right.
and what's interesting to me is that you've basically purchased the company probably in the right time, right place, perhaps in history, where there's a real opportunity out there. And I 100% believe in prayer and opportunity. So, hey, this is
Yeah.
something interesting. But let me dig a little bit deeper, so people get a better understanding of why this is important. So here's a question that I'm going to ask, and I always ask all salespeople to have this question, or every company
Sure.
has to have this question, right? The other side needs to understand, like your buyers, Brett, needs to understand, why do I need
Hmm.
help? So that's the question I'm asking you. Why would I need help to
Sure.
come to Galileo?
Yeah, I mean, I could point to any number of events that have taken place over the last year in our country, whether or year and a half, 2 years, whether it's a Lahaina fire burnout where Mark Bodiger, who worked for the Hilton down there, was able to save a couple thousand people because he had one satellite phone, and they all lost communication because the first thing to go in any emergency is a cell tower. So this gentleman with one sat phone was able to redirect several thousand people to an evacuation route that, had they gone in a different direction, would have killed them all. They all would have been headed right into the fire. And then I would fast forward to maybe tornadoes coming through the belt, hurricanes knocking out all communication in Florida, floods taking out most of North Carolina, and those people are still without power and communication and still could not call emergency services. Or then go to Pacific Palisades, or maybe stop by Ukraine war, because all the sat phones were sold out. This particular Iridium phone was gone when Ukraine kicked off because every government and military uses these satellite communications. So, without the doom and gloom, or let's just say your daughter's driving through Utah and she pops a tire on her way to college and there's no cell service. How long would you like her to sit on the side of the road and wait for a trusted stranger to drive by and then go down and call the tow truck? Or would you rather she just pulled this little satellite Snickers out of her glove box, hit this one button right here, and sent you her GPS and a message that says, "Dad, I need your help. I popped a tire." Right? So, I mean, from the end of the world, apocalyptic wars, to natural disasters, or to simple accidents or mishaps that happen along the way, being able to communicate with the ones you love and get that emergency service help when you need it is life-saving. And
Wow.
that's why I would say people need to get that.
What a great why. Like what a great why. See,
Thank you.
but see, that's the difference when you start talking, when you get away from the technical aspect of it, right? The engineering, the word salad,
Right.
like it in every industry, every single person, every salesperson, every company needs to answer the question, why do people need my help? And you just
Right.
unpacked it in a way that isn't like a feature. It's like, okay, this is important. Like this is necessary. And and how do I do that, right? And so we're
Right.
gonna keep going that direction. But for those of you listening, I mean, this is not like, oh, we're talking about science fiction. Like some of the fastest growing industries right now are AI, satellite communications, space, and
Yep.
so Brett is at the forefront, like at the vision of something that's like, it's not maybe gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Right? It's
I
not
mean,
maybe gonna
if I
happen, it's gonna happen. All right.
if I could just say, without bragging, I mean, we as a social media platform, we are much smaller, but I beat Twitter. We beat Twitter to satellite, right? Because we connect with satellite devices and Twitter doesn't. Neither does Facebook, neither does Instagram, neither does Twitch, neither does Rumble, neither does Gab, right? Neither does YouTube, neither does Google. None of those connect to satellite devices unless you actually have a satellite internet in your house, like a
Mhm.
Starlink or an Iridium Go or something like that. And then, that's if you have that device and you pay the monthly service on this. what we're offering is the ability for you to have the connectivity, the first connectivity to a social media, to any satellite device on your phone.
Wow.
Right. So to your point, the technology is all heading in this direction, and I'm not in competition with Elon. He has his own thing going, and, we don't have our own satellite network per se, but we do work with all the different satellite networks. And I think it's just important for people to realize that where they get their information on a daily basis or a minute by minute basis, if something happens to that one cell tower in your neighborhood, if 1,000 people try to make a phone call, that tower is down. If something happens to your one internet provider or your one cellular device, you no longer have any information. You're completely cut off across the spectrum of all the different platforms that you get your information from. So we're just trying to really put it into people's minds that information is key. It's vital on the battlefield to staying alive, shoot, move, communicate, right? That's how it goes. So what you want to do is always be able to contact your family, your friends, get those resources, get that information that you need, or reach out for emergency services.
Awesome. So one of the things that I'm realizing here is that, and just for our listeners, and just to be clear, because I want our listeners to be very clear, because again, this starts getting complicated. I'm just trying to keep it total layman's terms.
Yeah.
Is your platform is able to connect with a satellite device, but you don't sell the device. Like it'll be any device basically that connects with the satellites, and the new app is able to connect the phone with the satellites through whatever platform it may be. I mean, with whatever device it may be. It's not that they have to buy your or a specific device. Did I get that right or wrong?
That's right. Our app is a free download on Apple Store and Google Play. However, we work hand in hand with the satellite phone store. Mm-hmm. So if you want our free app, that's satnews123.com. That's where you can get our free app. Just download it for free. But we will give you satellite devices through our partnership at the satellite phone store. This is a $300 Bivy stick. This is basically a satellite antenna that turns your phone into a satellite texting device. So that $300 device is free. You'll have to pay some for satellite credits, right? But they're much cheaper and they all roll over. You never lose them. But yeah, to your point. So we've established great relationships with the satellite phone store and some other companies that offer these actual physical devices, and also things like solar generators and bug out bags, all this emergency stuff. But with any one of the devices that you get from any one of these stores or from us, yes, we'll connect to our app.
Well, I already know what you're going to send me.
Yeah, Bivy stick.
All right. And one of the things that I wanted to mention that a lot of listeners don't know, because again, if you're not in tech, if you're not in, if you don't understand the industry, it's actually the small players like Brett. They're actually leading the charge in these new technologies, as opposed to the big boys that are focused on a lot of, they just got a lot of buckets they have to fill. So it might surprise you. Say, well, wow, he did it faster than Twitter. He did it faster than this. He did it faster. But reality is, it's actually the small players like Galileo in these industries that you've never heard of that are actually making those leaps and jumps that the others may either jump on or buy you one day.
Yeah. I mean, Apple was the small player, right? When IBM was king, Apple was just a little garage guy. Right. So look, and again, like I said, it's not a competition. I'm not telling people that you have to delete all your other apps to get ours. Ours is free,
right?
And if you don't want to connect to the satellite with our app, you don't have to. You can use it on Wi-Fi and cellular, just as social media. We actually have a social gaming aspect and an internal credit thing that we're launching, so you can purchase our coin or earn coins inside and then use those in shopping carts and all kinds of deals. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to use the app or just download it. But, private servers, no one's spying on you, free speech, and off-grid capability. I mean, it's kind of foolish not to just download it and check it out, right? I mean,
right.
So,
all right. So let's say you've got me. I'm like, okay, Brett, this makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to, I need connectivity. I got it. I'm sold. I need connectivity. But I'm assuming that there are different. The problem is, how do I get connectivity with all the situations you described? But there's probably different solutions to solve the same problem. And I'm always stressing how you need to understand that no matter how great your product is, whether you're the company or the salesperson, there's always different solutions to solve the problem. So just because I need help doesn't mean I'm going to come to you. So how is, why your solution is better, the best, or different than other solutions out there? Now, there might be a chance that your technology is so new that there are other solutions, but
Yeah.
usually there are, right? So why your
Yeah.
solution? What makes it different than maybe other things out in the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Again, like I said, we are not the only ones. We're one of the first for sure. There are other apps that work to connect to satellite devices, but none that are social media like ours, and none that implement the social gaming aspect and now this tokenization part that we're doing. Also, again, since we are a small company, we have private servers. We value your information. We're not going to sell your stuff to anybody. We can't even read your stuff. And our relationships with these other companies like Satellite Phone Store, Escape Zone that has Faraday products and bulletproof backpacks, and our relationships with Connecta Mobile, which is a de-Googled, completely end-to-end VPN encrypted phone that you can get for less than $35 a month. I mean, we have some relationships and tech that are innovative. Again, like maybe we're not the only ones doing it, but we were talking $100 million companies, and again, we value your information. Like, I do remember this, and I like Starlink. Don't get me wrong. I use the Iridium network for satellite communication. I use Starlink for certain things, right? I also have my standard, Wi-Fi cellular providers. But, I do recall, I mean, there was a time where they told you that, certain agencies were spying on you when you use these other apps, and they never told you that they stopped. Probably because they didn't stop, right? They just told you that they were doing it, but they never said they weren't going to do it. So, your privacy, your information, that's everything, and in this day and age of everything out in the ether or in some cloud somewhere, I mean, the cloud is just a server.
Right.
It's not a cloud. It sounds sweet, but it's just a server. So all your stuff is being stored somewhere. When you use our app, we add those extra layers of security, those extra layers of connectivity to all the different aspects. And then, we're constantly innovating and constantly growing. So there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipe that
Awesome.
I think people will be really excited about.
You actually answered a question that is actually different than, I mean, you answered the question, but I'm going to push you a little bit more because
all right.
Because the question you answered is actually sometimes I say, okay, somebody needs to know that they need help. Okay, answer me that. Why your solution? Okay, answer me that. But the next thing is, okay, I need help. I understand that your solution can help me, but why you? Like, why Galileo? So you answered the why Galileo question, which you were great at, by the way, phenomenal. You answered, and all I'm trying to do here is point out that there's a difference between when people come to you or to come to anyone for a product or a service. Most salespeople forget to realize that it isn't just what your product does or who you are. It's okay. What do I need help? What are you trying to solve? What's the solution that you have and why you, right? And so we've uncovered why they need help and why you. But I actually have a question. Are there other solutions that aren't your competitors? Like you described you and your competitors, right? Are there other solutions out there? And I'm just curious to help you solve the same problem? Or is this so new that really the solution that you've created, Galileo or a couple others, is really the only way to kind of solve this problem?
So I wouldn't say that we're the only way, like, because it depends what problem you're trying to solve. If you're trying to solve the problem, like I'm going fishing or boating or hunting and, I'm going to be off grid and I want to connect with my family, there are other devices out there that you could purchase, but they don't necessarily have the messaging capability. They don't have a social media. They don't have an emergency alert. They don't have a tracking mapping feature. Like they may have it individually as these different companies. And what we're doing is just bringing it all together. And then second to that, I would say that of course, there are lots of other solutions. Starlink is a great solution. I think Starlink's a fascinating company. I think they're doing great things. We sell Starlinks actually on our website. We got a great deal through Satellite Phone Store that will sell you a Starlink thing, but you also have to have that several $1,000s and several $100s a month to do so, right? Like what I'm talking about is something that could be less than $50 a month, and you're getting hundreds of dollars or $1,000 device for free. Yeah. We're just going to give you the stuff, put it in your hands, and then show you. And also, we're going to teach you how to use it. We're not just going to send it to you and just be like, all right, good luck. Hope you don't die in the apocalypse. It's like, hey, you have questions, like come to our site, check out our social media, check out our influencers. Like we're very accessible. Reach out to us, post a question and we'll comment, we'll follow, we'll let you, we'll give you the answers to the questions that you have, instead of just being like, hey, thanks for the purchase, peace out.
All right, that's awesome. So you did exactly what I wanted you to do, and the reason I pushed you there is because it's a teaching moment, but it's also I think you're realizing actually what I just did. It's like, okay, when
Yeah.
when someone comes to you for some sort of help, and you tell them all about your company, many times they're like, okay, this was great, but let me go first find out what the other solutions are, right? And people miss that. People in the sales world miss that. I was like, wait, I'm assuming we as a company and you as Brett are assuming if I talk enough about my company, I tell them all these great things, and they need help, okay, we're going to do business. But reality is if there are other solutions, the brain's going to go to those first. Okay, how else can I do this cheaper, smarter? Okay, I'm just going fishing, right? I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm just going to go on vacation to, I don't know, Bolivia. I don't need this. So by you answering that question, you actually move the person further along the process, because now they understand exactly what you said, really. What I heard is, okay, there are other solutions out there, but but all of them have their weaknesses based on what you're going to do. And what we've created is one that really solves a lot of situations and a lot of different help with all the benefits that you provided. So I think your answer was fascinating, because it makes you realize that just because something says that it can give you connectivity, it might be too expensive. It might not be the right fit. You might be looking for something else. So one of the questions that I would love to see, your team asking is, and if they're not, is like, okay, what do you need this for? Right. And then they might tell you, oh, I need it for this. And you're like, okay, well, this is the right solution, because what you're thinking isn't going to get you there, right? With some other solutions. Thank you that was a great answer. Great answer. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, and we have that. We do. If I could just real quick, just add to that, we have at the satellite phone store, you can call us, you can use a chat feature, but we have all kinds of plans and all kinds of gear. Like I said, specifically our company, satnews123.com, we are information. Mm-hmm. You download our app, you get information. We'll send you the alerts, you get all the info, you set up your messages, you do all this stuff, social media, earn some coins, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like devices or usage, or like what you're actually looking for, we're experts in that. This is what we do all day long at the satellite phone store. We are constantly talking to people, engaging with them, like, hey, not only what do you need, but maybe you're a user, like, how's it going, right? Like, are you figuring out what questions do you have? Do you need a family plan, or is it just you? Are you going to use it every day? Or are you going to use it once a year when you go hunting, right? Because we want to make sure that it fits you, because we don't want to add anything excessive. We just want to make sure that you have what you need when you need it the most.
See, by you answering those questions, like, there are people listening to this that are getting this, and they're like, okay, this is awesome, but, and you're literally answering the question of, oh, well, this is easier than I think. Oh, satellites don't have to be that complicated. Oh, well, I don't need a whole bunch of technology to do this, right? So great stuff. All right. So what are the excuses? Like, so I always talk about, ultimately, Brett, you're trying to get people to say yes to this technology, right? If you get no's, it doesn't move Galileo along. You got to get the yes. And I'm always preaching that. If you've ever read Closing Intelligence, How to Get Others to Say Yes in Life and Business, that I wrote. What are those objections? What are those excuses? Why are people saying, is it lack of information? Is it myths? Is it just not understanding? Like, why do people say no? Like, I need this. Like, who doesn't need this? In theory, if you really think about it. Why do right now do people say no to this? Or why would they give an excuse, an objection? Maybe later, maybe in the future, maybe when time is right. What do you guys get all the time in your company as far as
there's value perceived, right? That's what matters to people, is where the value is for themselves and what they see it. And then they always do a cost analysis, whether they realize it or not. They do a self-assessment cost analysis of their own life, and then where this fits in their life, whether it's whatever it is, an extra TV or a phone or whatever. So initially, of course, there's there's an education curve, right? People don't understand, like I said in the beginning, people don't necessarily understand like satellites, cellular, Wi-Fi. We all know how to use it, but I mean, could you build a smartphone if I gave you all the parts? Probably not, right? Because it's like these are complicated things that we take for granted, just like your television, right? I mean, someone build me a TV, right? Like I'd love to see it. So it's like we use all these things on our daily basis, but we don't necessarily understand how they work. So part of the no's, or I wouldn't say even a no, just that the initial hesitancy or that learning curve really is just like understanding, okay, how does this work? How would I apply it in my daily life? And then of course it comes down to like a cost analysis and, can I afford it? What else could I buy with this money, et cetera, kind of things. The nice thing is we have so many different plans. We just answer that one out of the gate. Like we'll fit your budget, period. Doesn't matter. So don't worry about the money thing. And honestly, with the rate of inflation and what's going on in the instability in the financial market, like I would much rather have a sat phone in my hand than, $50 in the bank, because that money is going away. Right. But second to that really is, how do I use it? Why do I use it? What do I need it for? So the education on that is where we come in handy. We can explain all these things to you, but I will tell you this. Nobody asks me any questions once the flood came through their neighborhood, or they have a family member who got burned out of their home and they lost their entire savings, or they've lost every single thing. They didn't have a bug out bag. They don't have a solar generator, living in a tent in North Carolina. I mean, we get these stories all day long, right? So the people that call after the fact, they have no questions. Right. I need, want, and this now. How fast can you get it to me? I don't have time to wait. I'm freezing. I'm cold. Like all like now. Wow. So we try to take us, and we do our best to facilitate those. Unfortunately, after a lot of these major events, the scarcity comes into play because everyone realizes, shoot, I should have bought this 6 months ago, right? I should have bought this last month. So really, it's just the education thing, explaining to people, hey, look at the state of the world. What's going on? Tell me your budget, tell me your needs, and then let us figure it out for you. But the first step, first step, free download. There's no excuse. Just go download the app. It's absolutely free. And that's the step one.
Tell me. So I'm always kind of preaching that as you take people through what I call discovery, through asking the questions that I'm kind of asking you, there's one that needs to be answered, and you kind of answered it, but I don't want the audience to lose this kind of a teaching moment. Okay. But like you're basically saying, okay, this is what happens when those people could have done it but didn't do it, and then then they want it and it's not available, or it's too slow, or it's after the fact. So you're really asking or giving a benefit of the why today. Like every single company, business, salesperson, when they're out there trying to promote their product, service, or whoever they are, they need to be able to answer the question or cement on the other side whether through questions or whatever benefits the why today. So for those people that are just kind of listening to and saying, yeah, bro, whatever, I'll do it someday. Why today? Like why do they need to take some sort of action today as opposed to tomorrow, next month, next week? What would you say to the people, to the listeners?
Well, I would say, do you have a first aid kit or a fire extinguisher in your house?
I don't.
Why? Is your house on fire? Are you bleeding? No, because that the inevitable cause of life, right? The inevitable actions in life sometimes lead to things that are uncertain or unknown. And in those moments of uncertainty and unknowing, the worst feeling to have is the one that you are not prepared to take care of, not only yourself, but maybe your kids or your family or your neighbors. There is no worse a feeling than being unprepared, scared, and alone. So we keep fire extinguishers. We have a spare tire in our car, not because we drive around with a flat, but because someday we might hit a nail. And in that moment, I don't want to be stuck without a tire, right? When the fire kicks off, I don't want to not have the fire extinguisher. I want to have the gear I need to be ready at all times, because that's the point, right? Preparedness is what you do before the storm, not during. So
I would almost I'm just, because my mind's always going into how can you make this stronger? I would almost like, the question is like, well, do you have a home insurance? Well, yeah. Why do you have home insurance? Right, yeah, do you have car insurance? Like, but again, people don't like to be told what to do, right? So I'm asking about asking them the questions, or they say, oh, you're right, I do this. Well, tell me a little bit about your car insurance. Well, tell me a little bit about your life insurance. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your doomsday insurance, or whatever you want to call it. Your preparedness insurance. Well, I don't have any. Well, that's why you need this.
Right.
You
Right.
see? I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, so when you relate it to something so basic like home insurance, car insurance, life insurance,
Mhm.
you said it. I'm just creating questions around it. So the other person
Yeah, I
says, well, if I
appreciate
have
it.
car insurance and I have home insurance, I have life insurance, I have all these insurances. And all those are
Right.
based on not knowing what's going to happen. Like you don't buy them to cash them in, you buy them to okay, so this is to me, this is the same thing. It's asking that
Yeah.
question is, well, then what give me a reason why you wouldn't have this. And it's like, I honestly can't
Sure.
come up with one. So that's
Well, I mean, you go to grandma's house, you take an extra pair of socks, right? You have more money in your wallet than you're going to spend. Hopefully, you have more gas in your tank than you're going to use, right? Like redundancies, and but you have more egg. You don't just buy one egg for breakfast; you buy a whole dozen, right? Like redundancies are a natural part of our life. We do them without even thinking. However, when it comes to communication, most people have one device, one provider, right? And basically one source. Now, they might have like 10 different things that send the information to that one device. But if that one device goes away, if your one pair of socks gets wet and you don't have a backup pair of socks, you got wet feet, right? And if you don't have a backup comms, you're not talking to anybody. So redundancies are just kind of something that people do naturally. All we're trying to do is just point out like, hey, you have redundancies all over here. You're just missing like one of
right.
the most important ones, and that's communication.
Well, I mean, it'd be like putting all your money into one stock. It'd be like putting all your money into one
Same.
bank. It'd be like
Exactly.
putting,
Exactly.
I mean, in theory, you're talking about strategic depth in a life in a way. Okay, so how can I
Right.
build more strategic depth in my life? Well, by actually having other sources of information than just relying on my 39.99 a month
Right.
T-Mobile provider. That if it goes
Yeah.
down, it goes down. So good stuff. All right, where's
Yeah.
where's the actually no actually I actually have like a business question for you. So you keep talking
Okay.
about individuals, right? You keep talking about
Mhm.
individuals. And if you're listening out there, if you own a company, if you like have thousands of employees, please listen to this one because maybe you'll make Brett's day. But I'm thinking you're talking about individuals, like the person that goes
Mhm.
fishing. But I'm thinking of
Mhm.
this would be valuable for entire sales teams and that are traveling all over the world. It'd be valuable for entire sales teams domestically.
Yeah.
It'd be valuable for entire teams. So how do you approach like, and I don't know if you're doing that now, but it just seems to me like it's a natural entry. What would be the
Yeah.
value to like a company and their entire team on this? Like they're out on the road, they're presenting, they need to stay communicated. How
Yeah.
could you how could you service them? What would be the value to them? Why you for them?
Yeah. So we do have corporate accounts
Mhm.
through Satellite Phone Store where we sell, bulk packages to large companies that want to make sure that all of their employees are connected. Yeah, just in case, right? We also work with first responders, emergency services. We support a lot of the people that go out there and pick up the pieces when stuff happens. So we give phones out all the time. But as far as the app goes, absolutely, right? And I'm in the market right now. It's funny you bring it up because I feel like congregations are a big place to start too.
Mhm.
When it's communication in a business is very similar to a congregation. It's similar to your family, and it's also very military structured, right? Where you have kind of a hierarchy of leadership where one person delegates to maybe two, and then that two delegates to maybe three or four, and that four, right? So it's a branching system. So what our intention is for everyone to download the free app so you can communicate freely online. But if we set up heads and leaderships, right, points of contact, we can basically create that old school phone chain that we all remember when we were a kid, where when you had to pick up the dial phone and call the next three people on your list, right? I mean, it all goes back to the basics of community, communication, and how we exist, how this whole country was built, and the foundations of that, which are leadership and sharing of information. So yeah, to your point, we're very open to corporate, very open to emergency services. I think national parks are a great place because you got all these people out there in the woods. I have a lot of respect for our first responders and all those guys and men in blue and black and white and red and all those good colors that are out there just giving their lives to save all of ours. So, there's a lot of applications for this that are much larger than the individual, for sure. And I appreciate you bringing that up. I focus on the individual because I think everything starts with your temple in your house and what you can do for you. And then you spread that to your community from there. But yeah, to your point, large communities, large corporations, we're set up to do that and work with them.
When you said congregation, are you talking about churches? Just I want to be clear.
I was referencing churches.
You don't have to sugarcoat. Yeah. I mean, I'm a believer. I'm 100% with you, man.
No, I wasn't sugarcoating. I just congregations, large bodies of people, large places where people organize. Those are just, the ones that I've been seeing lately for myself. Schools, right? Schools, congregations, corporates.
Yeah.
Large, even sports fans, I think would be fun if I could do like satellite sports betting or something, but I don't know. We'll get there.
Several times you've mentioned or not, I can hear again, ask, don't tell is don't just let people talk. You have to listen to what they're saying and read between the words, because what Brett is ultimately saying, I'm listening, what's in this man's heart. Right. And, I don't know if you are or not, but in this show, we don't hide our faith. So I don't hide my faith in this show
absolutely.
At all. So what
I have my job because of a prayer.
Yes.
That's not a lie. I'll tell you that straight out. I said a prayer. First I said 2 prayers. I said, 1, I need to know that God exists. I was given a Bible right at the end of COVID, right as my father died. And I never read it before. So I started reading it. Then I prayed to God because I needed to know that he existed. And he picked me up at 3:30 in the morning and kind of threw me out of bed and echoed in my room that God loves you. So I started bawling and realizing like, wow, this is so much bigger than me. And then 2 days later, I said a prayer for a voice. I wanted a voice because I heard a guy named Edward Dowd say it on a podcast before he wrote his book, Cause Unknown. And the next morning, a guy that I'd never spoken to before in my life called me and invited me to his show backstage. And that's how I got my job. So I 100% know that God is real and he wants the best for each and every one of us and every one of you listening right now. So I just hope that you all find that place in space with your creator. So I'm not hiding anything. There you go.
No, I love it.
Just say it out loud.
Because people sometimes, in this show, people ask me, why don't you send me the questions that I'm going to ask? Because I don't do that, because ask, don't tell.
Right.
And I want you to listen, whether you believe or are a believer or not, we're not trying to evangelize you in this show. We're just trying to speak from the heart ultimately. And what
that's right. And I wasn't always.
Yeah.
I will say that firsthand, not to cut you off, but just for everybody listening, like it's only been like the last probably 4 years, three some years that I truly like got to know God and Jesus in the way that you need to. So, I just encourage everyone. It will make you feel better. I promise you.
I'm 100% with you, brother. There's nothing that I can do without prayer. Nothing's possible without prayer. But what I'm trying to say is, I think the teaching moment for this, for what I'm saying for this is, we come into our time in our life a lot of times where we say, man, should I ask that question? Man, do I really want that answer? Man, if I ask the question, I'm going to uncover a can of worms, or I'm going to dig deeper than ever. And if you've read Closing Intelligence, I'm all about this. It's the questions that you ask in life that are going to make you connect with people like you never imagined, and that are going to lead you to places that you never thought possible. All I did was listen. Yeah. I did not know anything Brett just told me. We've never spoken before, but because I asked a deeper question and I chose to say, you know what? I've read between the lines what he's saying, so I'm going to ask the question. And then he literally spoke to me from his heart. He's not speaking to me his brain. He's speaking to me from his heart and telling me, what his life and what his values are and what's important to him and his story. And I guess his story.
There you go.
And all I'm trying to say is, Brett and I, we've connected in a way because of those questions that tomorrow we would probably do business together. Tomorrow we would go out for coffee tomorrow. And if I was trying to sell something to Brett and he was trying to sell something to me, we'd probably do business together. Why? Because it was the key to ask, don't tell. It was those questions, the human skills. All we're doing being is human skills that allowed us to basically say, hey, this is who you are. This is who I am. And we're not hiding that. And that connection in business and in sales, honestly, is a superpower, whether it's from above that I believe or whether you don't believe, but it's a superpower. And so, Brett, I've really enjoyed having you on the show. We've been a little bit further because I asked the question. and I'm going to do
Yeah.
another minute. If you've ever read Closing Intelligence, I tell about a story that I was in
Yeah.
an Uber, and I was talking to the Uber person, and then I kept asking more questions and more questions, more questions, more questions. I said, okay, if I ask the next question, like like I'm going to be in this Uber for 3 hours. And so what I'm
Yep.
saying is we went a little bit further and a little bit longer, because as you uncover questions and the other person answers, you realize, wow, there's a lot here that we could probably talk about. And that's the beauty of business. That's the beauty of what you're doing as well. Because ultimately you're trying to help people with what you feel like you've
Well,
been given. So I love it. I love
and
it.
can I just add on that
Yeah,
too? I really
sure.
appreciate what you said. Like, it's true. Look, everyone, we're all alike. We're all humans. We all do things the same way. We might look slightly different, but inside of us, how we function, most of our goals, what we want out of life, I mean, they're so similar. I mean, I think people are more alike than we even realize. And I think part of the great deception is telling people that they're different, is pointing out like these slight differences and then making a big thing out of it and exaggerating it to the point where someone loses that idea that, hey, we are exactly alike. So I think, to your point, and I appreciate you saying that, when you get to the core of somebody and you really hear from their heart, you're going to find that you have a lot more in common with them than you ever thought.
Absolutely. So what I see, you're a man with a lot of wisdom, right? And be careful, because the word says that don't ever be known as or preach that you have all
No.
the wisdom, right?
Yeah.
But
Nope.
I'm saying that I feel and I'm hearing in your heart that you probably have a lot of wisdom, right? And I've been told that throughout my life as well, and sometimes I repeat it
Yeah.
myself, so I'm not supposed to say that. But what would you
Right.
like to leave the audience with? Now, it could be something about, hey, Galileo, this is what I need you to do. This is the next steps. Um, or hey, the wisdom that I'm providing is, hey, you need to get one. You need to sign up for this, because this is really important, because this is my mission to get everyone on this. And tell us what
Yeah.
do you want us to do? Um, what's that next step? How do we connect with you? Because I think people listening to you right now, a lot of people are going to wonder, how do we connect with you, or not you or the company?
Yeah.
What do we need to do?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my email. My email is Brett, BRETT, at Galileo.com. Feel free to shoot me an email anytime. I don't mind. I'll respond. I am busy, so give me a little bit of time, but I will respond to you. So you can email me there. I would say, as a call to action, yeah, of course, download our app. Like, step one, for free, doesn't cost you anything. Put it on your smartphone, check us out. But really, besides, purchase something from me or whatever, I think everyone, seeing what we've gone through these last 4 years, seeing what we as a nation have gone through these last 230 some ish years or 20 some years, right? And just seeing where we are, understanding the financial system, seeing what's going on, the environmental temperature of the world, right? And what's happening. I think everyone should just really, to be true to yourself, you should test yourself. You should test your readiness and your ability to take care of the ones you love if the lights go out. And that's what I would say, because that's really like the scenario. If the US went bankrupt, the lights will go out. If we went to war, the lights will go out. If we had a storm, the lights will go out, right? I mean, it's all kind of leads back to this idea of, the lights going out. But that's more of a metaphor of like, hey, why don't you wake up tomorrow, and everything you do within the first hour of you being awake, write down what you do, and then write down the technology or the resources you needed to do that, and then turn the lights out or the electric off, and see how many of those things you could still do without too much disruption. And I think people would be very surprised to realize, like, wow, I can't call my mom. I can't make my coffee. I'm shivering. I can't get on Twitter. I can't get, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, the things that you do every day start going away. So I think mostly, if I could just give everybody a piece of advice, is be honest with yourself. Reach out to people like myself, people like yourself, and there's people that are even way better than me. So reach out to them too, and get the information. Fill in the gaps, fill in the blanks in your life, so that you are always ready.
Awesome.
And that would be my
That is
advice.
an awesome word. That's the word of the day, brother.
Yeah,
So it's
thank
funny,
you.
because, and I'm kind of gonna, I have to chime in here, because
You do it.
most people don't realize that, like, for example, I don't know, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you?
I'm in my
Okay, so
40s. Don't mind my
I'm in
gray.
my 40s, right? So we
Yes.
realize that there's a lot of things that we use in our world that require technology in it. But ask like I have a 5-year-old daughter. Ask your 5-year-old
Oh yeah,
daughter.
no idea.
Ask your 5-year-old daughter, hey, what happens? Can you use what's going to happen with your Wi-Fi? And they have like they do not understand
No.
because of the world they grew up in. They don't understand that everything we do, literally, or that at least they do, requires some sort of connection. And
Power.
yeah, it
It all
requires
takes
power.
power.
Power is power and some sort of connect everything.
Power.
So Tina, to kind of like unpackage what you said, because I want to bring you back to what you said, is beyond money, beyond success, beyond everything that literally the world tells us that is of value. At the end of the day, it's all about your family, protecting your family, helping your family, saving your family, and just making sure that your family is okay. And there's nothing. See, there's literally like 5-6 reasons why people would buy something, and family is one of those, right? And so if it doesn't,
100%.
this doesn't resonate with you, and again, I know it sounds like I'm selling Brett. Brett doesn't pay me to sell his stuff, but what I'm saying is, this is what the show's about, right? So for him, the big emotion for most people would be, okay, yeah, let's forget about all that other stuff. It's all about my family. So the first step is, download that today and see where it takes you, and at least get the information.
Yeah.
Brett, it's been awesome having you on the show, man. What a great show. Hey, stay online so we can connect a little bit.
Thanks, Oscar.
And thank you for being on here.
Thank you, Oscar. Really appreciate it, man. God bless you. Thanks for what you do.
For all of those of you that are listening to Ask Don't Tell, don't remember, Ask Don't Tell, OscarSubrots.com, closingintelligence.com. Pick up my book on Amazon, and we will see you next time on Ask Don't Tell.